What's your worst experience with a goose? Wow, I actually get to tell this story. A few years back, I tried a new jogging route that took me past the nest of an abnormally aggressive goose. For a while it just squawked at me, but eventually it got the idea that I was out for his chicks or something. So there I am, taking my normal jogging route, preparing for the squawking, when I see him just standing there, son squawk. This didn't last for long. He took off and started flying after me. The squawking commenced, and he started dive bombing me. Fortunately it didn't bite me or anything, but suffice to say, being dive bombed by a goose is an unpleasant experience. In my panic I decided I had to do something about this, so I get my eye on him. This time as he swooped down, I punched him right in his chest and ran away before he could get up. It was ducking bizarre, and I regret nothing. TLDR, geese hate being punched. Geese hate this one simple trick. Abnormally aggressive goose. Implying geese have an aggression setting above absolute maximum. Went to a very small college, one entrance in and out of campus. My freshman year a science class, can't remember which, decided to do a research project on goslings, so they somehow attracted geese, got some geese onto campus, not really sure of these details, and after 3 years the geese had multiplied. This wouldn't be a problem, except they protect their nests like crazy, and after 3 years there were 3 different nests, perfectly triangulated, so anywhere you were on campus you'd be in the goose attack danger zone. Walking to class? Goose attack. Want to go to the dining hall? Goose attack. Take a nice walk through the arboretum? Goose attack. Worst experience personally, offending a goose by trying to get to my car and leave. 2 chased me and started pecking my car. The dents were there until the day my car died. Eventually the school had the geese moved to some sanctuary farm. Or that's what they told us. Could be the same farm my childhood dog went to, who knows. If a goose dented my mother ducking car, that ducker would be 6 feet underground the minute it happened. That's some fast grave digging. My car is an excavator. Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a goose grave excavator. Many years ago my mother attempted a sacrifice to the geese at the zoo. I was 6 at the time and everything still fascinated me, so I was particularly gullible. My mother gave me some bread and pointed to a gaggle of murderous geese by a pond, most likely hoping to finally be rid of me once and for all. I was ecstatic, and I trusted my mother, which was surely a mistake. I couldn't wait to feed the peaceful creatures by the water. So I ran with joy over to them, and this is where everything went terribly wrong. One goose stood up craning its neck, its piercing eyes met mine and terror flooded my body as its brethren started to honk and flap their wings wildly. My flight or fight response kicked in and I started running. I could hear them behind me, their shrieks filled with all the anger of how they evolved from giant carnivores to small clawless massholes, filled the once peaceful setting. I ran as fast as my legs could take me, but the geese had used my innocent approach against me and allowed me to get close. I felt the first pinch on my calf and knew my life was about to end. I had to turn and fight or perish at the beaks of pissed off dinosaur duck birds. I swung my arms and kicked desperately. My strikes bounced to their bodies like rubber and they assaulted me relentlessly, surely to devour me piece by piece. I quickly realized this was ineffective and started to run again. Luckily my mother must have had a mental crisis and decided that she wanted to keep me after all. She ran and picked me up and carried me to safety. Tears streamed down my face. To this day I am still deathly afraid of geese after my mother tried to sacrifice me to appease their murderous souls. When I was little I used to play in one of my grandparents' barns. There was this huge pit of feed corn in there that I could just swim around in. But not for long. The corn apparently belonged to the geese, and if they detected my presence they would come after me like a bunch of Jurassic Park velociraptors, hissing. You know those nightmares where you have to run away but you're just moving too slow? That was me, wading through corn up to my chest. His name was Harold, a typical grey-lag goose. He was owned by my college and I was on duty trying to refill his feeder. I knelt down in his pen and heard a hissing sound. Turned my head and there he was, about 3 inches from my face, and he struck at me so I jumped out of the way. I just bonked him lightly on the beak, Gave him some stern words and then he backed off, and that was that. Harold was a good boy really. I had a lot of love for him, unlike the other students. We have some resident geese on our campus and we do the same thing when they are being massholes. We just sort of yell at them and waggle your finger at them, and then they sort of groan and walk away. It's like every single goose ever is a surly old bastard, and you're the kids on their lawns. When I was about 5 or 6, I woke up early one morning and heard what I thought was my dad walking around in the kitchen. I got out of bed, opened the door to the kitchen, and was face to face with Morton, the angry gander. He only liked my mum, so he flipped out and ran at me. I panicked and slammed the door on his neck. So we ate goose roast a few days later. My mum was a bit pissed. She was planning on saving him until Christmas, but she understood. My dad laughed so hard he almost wet himself, and I cried tears of fear, shame, shock and relief. I don't like any birds now, but I absolutely hate geese. And swans. They are just even angrier geese. Crying while eating. Morton would have wanted it this way. My brother and I used to have a pump BB gun that we would use to scare the birds off our dock. The first time I was allowed to shoot, my dad was explaining what to do and not to worry, cause the only way you would kill a goose is if you happened to hit them right through the neck. Being that I was like 6 years old and they were between 50 and 80 yards from us, everything should have been fine. Well, first shot, goose down. I gave my dad the gun and ran inside crying. I was using my bow and my son with his to run off some geese from our pond. They were obnoxiously aggressive with my young daughter at the time. We just wanted to harass them, so I put some blunt judo tips on. They worked great until I got too close and skewered one with a blunt tip. It flew across the frozen pond and left a blood trail the whole way. Its flock went up the hill and kept honking for him to come along. I went over to see where I got him, and see if there was any chance. It was calm enough that I removed the tip of the arrow, then slid the arrow out. Left it on the side of the hill. His friends called for him all afternoon and waited for him. I have more respect for geese now than I did. I now use bottle rockets and lacrosse balls. Similar thing happened to me. Pump BB gun and ad saying goose wouldn't die. Took a shot. Down goes the goose. No one could believe I killed it. About 20 minutes goes by. Goose still lying there. Dad goes out to get it, and gets right beside it, and it gets up and flies away. Went goose hunting with my dad once. I was pretty young, 9 or 10 years old. He managed to shoot one. We get home with a dead goose. He hauls it up to the kitchen counter to clean it, I guess, and when he put his hand on the chest of the goose, it let out a long drawn out honk. I was certain we were about to die at the hands, wings, of a zombie goose. A friend of mine was cleaning a duck and blew into the esophagus, making it quack. That's ducked? No, that's a duck. I ducking hate Canada geese, acting like they own whatever lawn they land on and shirting everywhere. One day I decided that this was my turf and I was going to defend it, so I chased this same group of geese off of a lawn near my apartment every morning. Usually they flew off honking, but on day 3 the biggest among them stood his ground. I wasn't going to back down, so it was time for a showdown. He bit me in the left hand, but I used my right hand to punch that masshole right in the face. After 3 shots to the brain he let go and flew off, but he was so rocked that he couldn't fly a straight line. He must have told his buddies, because I never saw those duckers again. Duck those duckers. How can you be our national bird if you duck off for 8 months and only return when winter is past? Not a bad experience, but I like it, so I am telling it anyway. One year we had a pretty bad flood, and my dad and I were roving on our property, making sure the very few livestock we had, mostly just chickens, turkeys, and ducks with some other animals like pygmy goats and dogs, were doing okay. We ended up rescuing a baby goose, and our ducks pretty much adopted it. It coincidentally thought it was also a duck, and would make the most god-awful wheezing coughing sound when it tried to quack. I miss that dude. Real life ugly duckling except with a goose? So you're saying that the only good goose is one that believes it's not a goose? Exactly. You have to brainwash them, and even that's not a for sure control measure. When I was real young, a goose took a shoe right off my foot. Geese are godless creatures that deserve no mercy. I lived on a farm growing up and we had ducks and a few geese. My job was to feed the ducks and geese, and one of our geese would try attacking me and biting me. My dad thought I was being ridiculous and went with me to feed them, and when the goose tried attacking him he grabbed it by the neck and threw it. That day I learned how to deal with an asshole goose. Sleep with one eye open, homie, we didn't forget. Oh duck. I made a mistake of flicking a goose with my knuckles to get it to bug off. That only pissed him off. Goose took a full haymaker style face slap before deciding this was a fight he was not going to win. Duck bit me 2 or 3 times in the process. I used to volunteer at a wildlife rehab center where we mostly got injured birds. One of my feathered patients was a goose with a broken wing. We handle all the birds as minimally as possible so they don't get used to people and can be released into the wild once they are healthy again. However, in order to get the birds into their daily bath time, they have to be carried. I picked up this goose, mind you geese are not light, and it bit me and flapped its wings so hard it flopped onto the ground. I fought that goose for a solid few minutes before I gave up and grabbed a towel to contain its wrath. With the wings neutralized I was able to pick it up, but it still bit me a few more times on the way to its tub out of pure spite. Duck that goose. On a positive note, pelicans are just clumsy dogs with wings. Oh man, I wanna hear pelican stories. When I was growing up my brother joined the Navy, and there were pelicans all around his base. One of them was like an unofficial mascot because someone 10+ years earlier had somehow taught it to return a salute. Oh that's awesome. My family raises geese, so you'll better buckle the duck up. Those duckers are mean. If they even think you're trying to mess with them, they will swarm you. You know when you piss off the chickens in Zelda, and they just keep coming until you're dead? Those chickens are actually geese. They're dumb. As if being the massholes of the bird kingdom wasn't enough, there are only about 16 brain cells in the whole ducking species. They'll pick a fight with a goddamn cow, but won't realize that a snake is literally all up under their mass, eating their eggs. They shirt everywhere. But it gets worse. If they find a berry bush, they'll eat all the berries. So many berries that they get the loosey-gooseys. See what I did there, and will not stop shirting. Bonus points if the berries were blueberries because now their shirt is 50 shades of purple and stains everything. Edit. Baby geese raised in pens will shirt in their drinking water and their food storage, then splash all around in it like it's some kind of shirt-themed porno. So my buddies and I were walking home from school and noticed a goose pacing pensively next to a window well for the basement next to a business. As we approached we could hear peeping from the window well and suspected that there were goslings down there. We perceived ourselves as do-gooders, righting every wrong no matter how slight. Approaching the window well, we spied at least a half dozen goslings frantically running around inside the window well. We decided we must act, lest these goslings perish. So, given that there were 3 of us, we had a 3-pronged approach. Person 1 would distract mama, person 2 would scare the goslings to one end of the window well, and person 3, quick aside, we still believed you couldn't touch a waterfowl child without it being abandoned by its mother, would use their jacket to scoop the goslings out of the window well. We learned, in quick succession. Mama Goose is not scared of you, doesn't give 2 shirts about your intentions, and will duck you up if you get next to her kids. Goslings are not scared of you, don't give 2 shirts about your intentions, and will duck you up if you try to shoo them to the other end of the window well. Goslings are goddamn slippery, and catching them in a jacket to scoop them out of a window well is goddamn near impossible. So, anyway, that. Not a goose, but a swan. Those mother duckers are scary. I was racing an RC boat around a small lake, and there was an island in the middle of this lake, with a swan nesting on it. Anyway, the swan started defending her nest, and flew after the boat, which was heading towards me. I ran and the swan chased me around this lake, online like 300 m, but I was small so it was actually really far, and lem be the one to tell you swans are ducking fast, ducking loud and ducking persistent. Swans are just aesthetically pleasing geese. Don't let anyone try to tell you otherwise. No way, swans are way worse than geese. Geese talk tough, but at the end of the day they are too small to do any real damage to a full-grown adult. Swans on the other hand have been known to straight up murder folks. Seriously though. Not only do swans regularly kill geese, but a swan knocked a dude off a kayak and drowned him in the middle of a Chicago park a few years ago. I've seen swans try to tempt a dog into the water, knowing they can duck the dog up once it's in there. So they're literally like mer people. They lure you into the water with their good looks and graceful movement, and once you're in, they own your ducking soul. I used to have to walk past a group of swans every day on the way to college, but would always give them a wide berth, especially when they had babies. They would always stop what they were doing, and watch, honking and hissing until I passed, and sometimes deciding to give me a heart attack by threatening to chase after me. One day I noticed one staring at its reflection in a car door. It then proceeded to beat the shirt out of that door, actually denting it, which caused more swans to congregate, notice their evil swan twins, and join in the madness. I still think about that poor car and its owner returning to the carnage. When I was young I used to steal bird eggs. I know I was an masshole who had issues, and I found a goose nest and thought, man, this is my big chance to get the biggest. I spent a good hour throwing stuff at it so it would leave. I decided to just run in there and grab it. I did, and on my run back with the egg, the goose jumped on my back and started pecking my head. When I was young I used to steal bird eggs. What the flying duck? Oh, you know, as one does. This is a funny question. I wish it had more answers. I used to work for the local park service and ran canoe trips. One day a naturalist and I were doing a big canoe run and went early so we could stop at McDonald's and enjoy a nice quiet breakfast by the river. Well, people feeding the ducking geese their fries had the geese recognizing McDonald's. We got to the bank of the river to be charged by 10 honking, fry-loving geese. We literally had to run to the van and shut the door before 10 geese smacked the side of the van, and had to finish our breakfast quickly and fight the geese off with a paddle. Don't feed the ducking geese.